This week in Jamaica Now. Stay behind bars. A Supreme Court judge rejects Vybz Kartel's application to be released from custody. Renouncing, Cabinet Minister Matthew Samuda says he's giving up his British citizenship. No ban on parents beating their children at home. And billion-dollar bill. Outrage has greeted a public agency saying it will spend almost $1 billion to retrofit a building it is leasing. I'm Jovan Johnson and this is Jamaica Now. The Supreme Court has ruled that dancehall entertainer Vybz Kartel and two of his three co-accused are to remain behind bars pending a decision in the Court of Appeal on whether they should be retried for murder. Justice Andrea Thomas handed down the decision on Thursday on an application for the release of Kartel, whose given name is Adidja Palmer, Sean Storm Campbell and Andre St. John. The application did not relate to the fourth accused, Kahira Jones, who reportedly has another matter before the court. The judge said the application was trying to circumvent the role of the Court of Appeal in determining a retrial. Some of Kartel's supporters who gathered on King Street for the ruling did not hide their disappointment. The men were convicted in 2014 for Clive Lizard Williams' murder in 2011. But in March, Jamaica's final Court of Appeal, the Privy Council, overturned the convictions, citing juror misconduct. It sent back the case to the Jamaican Court of Appeal for a ruling on whether the men should be retried. A hearing is set to start on June 10. Well-known Spanish Town medical practitioner Dr. Paul Robinson is being accused of being a system doctor who treats members of the notorious St. Catherine-based Klansman gang. Bail for the 65-year-old, who is charged with misprision of felony or failing to report a crime, was extended this week to July 26 when he is to return to court. Prosecutors allege that Dr. Robinson treated gunshot wounds of two members of the gang and provided them a prescription in 2020. Those members are now in prison. Dr. Robinson was arrested at his office on Yonge Street in Spanish Town in April. 23 alleged members of the Klansman gang, including the reputed leader Tesha Miller, are currently before the Home Circuit Court on various charges, including murder and robbery. Dr. Claudette Clark, the widow of businessman Keith Clark, says then-fugitive Christopher Dudescoke was not harboured at their Kirkland Heights St. Andrew home in May 2010 when a deadly police military raid claimed the life of her husband. In response to defense lawyers, she said she did not know Mr. Coke. The defense attorneys have accused Dr. Clark of being a liar and getting emotional to avoid answering questions. Three soldiers, Lance Corporals Greg Tingling and Odell Buckley, as well as Private Arnold Henry, are on trial for Mr. Clark's murder. Cabinet Minister and Senator Matthew Samuda says he's renouncing his status as a citizen of Great Britain. He disclosed his status in an interview with broadcaster Emily Shields on Thursday on Radio Jamaica's Hotline talk show program. In a subsequent statement, Mr. Samuda said he's advanced in the process of renouncing his British citizenship, which he acquired at birth. Senator Samuda said he has carefully listened to recent public discourse concerning the issue of dual citizenship. The issue adds pressure on opposition leader Mark Golding, who revealed he's a British citizen after weeks of failing to speak definitively on the matter. Mr. Samuda, who's seeking to become an MP, said he's urging Mr. Golding to renounce his citizenship. Mr. Golding has said he would only renounce if Jamaicans ask him to do so. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has said he supports parliamentarians having dual citizenship, but he said persons seeking to become head of government should be exclusively Jamaican. But Mr. Samuda's actions could point the spotlight on parliamentarians from the PNP and the JLP who have dual citizenship. The Jamaican Constitution allows persons to sit in Parliament with citizenship from Commonwealth countries. Now, almost 2 decades ago, several MPs were booted from Parliament after a court ruled that they were breaching the Constitution with citizenship from non-Commonwealth countries. Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ says it will cost taxpayers close to $1 billion to retrofit a rented property in Mandeville, Manchester to provide services to the public. Head of the agency Ainsley Powell made the disclosure at a meeting this week of a parliamentary committee. The committee examined an Auditor General's report which revealed that the TAJ rented the Mandeville property in September 2020 and another in Anoto Bay St. Mary in December 2021, but is yet to occupy them. Mr. Powell told committee chairman Julian Robinson that so far $451 million in lease payments have been made for the Mandeville property.
And what is the anticipated costs for the retrofitting of the space? It will probably take us somewhere close to $1 billion.
To what?
$1 billion, yeah.
1 billion to retrofit.
Yes.
Wow. And when do you anticipate having the space ready for occupancy?
We're looking at September 2025. That's the best estimate we have right now.
Has there been?
This is subject to approval and so on.
I mean, just hearing what you have said, 451 on the lease, close to 1 billion retrofitting. Has there been a cost-benefit analysis done to determine whether it would have been better for the government to build its own building or to use an alternative, given the cost? Because we're talking about close to 1.5 billion for both lease and retrofitting by the time you occupy.
When we started out, we had actually pursued the acquisition of property, which we were not able to find suitable property within the confines of Mandeville. We were seeing things on the outskirts, but we were conscious of the fact that for some taxpayers, it would mean, two transport to get to anything outside of the town.
The Mandeville lease is 24 years. There has been public outrage over the TAJ's actions, but the agency has defended its decision. It says tax services in Manchester are currently offered from 2 separate locations and serve customers from the neighbouring Clarendon and St Elizabeth parishes, and that the new space would improve efficiencies. The TAJ says procurement issues have affected efforts to occupy the buildings. Education Minister Favour Williams says no decision has been made to ban corporal punishment in homes. Her statement Monday came just days after Justice Minister Delroy Chuck's announcement that the government plans to outlaw parental beatings.
As of now, there is no law that bans corporal punishment in the homes. But let me add that in our schools, in our places of safety, in our early childhood institutions, corporal punishment is forbidden of our children. I believe that all of us as Jamaicans would love to get to a place where we have a violence-free society. Over the years, we would have had commissions. We would have used the Parliament, the Joint Select Committee process to look at the Child Care and Protection Act. And I know going forward, the government will be guided by the various consultations that have been done and by the commissions that have been set up on the whole question of corporal punishment of children in the home.
In a statement on May 22, the Justice Minister said the government has dealt with beating in schools and will do so in homes. He said beating of children was wrong. But several groups, including parents, have accused the government of overreaching and threatening their rights over their children. In January, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced at an event at Manchester High School that a total ban on corporal punishment was among the recommendations of the National Violence Prevention Commission. The UK company exploring for oil offshore Jamaica has now put a $70 billion estimate on the value of petroleum reserves likely lying on the Jamaican waters. United Oil and Gas Company says were those numbers to be proved through further exploration and studies, the reserves would be comparable to the finds in Guyana. The company holds a license from the Jamaican government to explore for oil in the Walton Morant block. United Oil is seeking a co-investor to drill test the block. It's already received 2 extensions from the government to drill or drop the license. Dozens of passengers had the fright of their lives after a Spirit Airlines flight almost made an emergency landing in the water just after takeoff at the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, St. James on May 26. A passenger told the Gleaner that the pilot told them to prepare for a water landing. However, the plane eventually landed using the runway without incident. The Airbus A321 was heading to Fort Lauderdale in the United States. Andrew Gordon, who was on board the aircraft, said the ordeal lasted about 25 to 30 minutes. The passengers left on a different aircraft. U.S. news outlet CBS has reported that Spirit said their aircraft returned to its flight origin following a suspected mechanical issue. Government regulator, the Financial Services Commission, FSC, has lost control of fraud-hit Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL, and must hand over the reins of the company to licensed trustee Caden Campbell. The Supreme Court ruled on Friday that the FSC's temporary management of the company through Kenneth Tomlinson must cease with immediate effect. The court said the appointment of the temporary manager was ill-advised and that the FSC had no powers to stop the winding-up process under the trustee. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. Follow us on X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner, and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, turn on a notification, and subscribe today. I'm Jovan Johnson, and before we go, let's take in some more scenes from this week's court ruling on Vybz Kartel's application to be released from custody.
Yes, no, yeah, I'm a paper. But somehow, we're doing that though. So eventually, Jamaica, system, wow, modernize. After Jamaica, the system, we are in time. You can't tell mom someone going up. So, in a sense.
So we're supporting Vybz Kartel and DJ Palmer. So this is like what them do to Jesus. So England wash the man clean of it. The King of England wash the man clean like what they did to Jesus. Yes, and so Paul and Louis now is carrying out a witch hunt. I would have said a man hunt. What she's carrying out?
Man hunt.
So people, so big up the real part of the law system. We need the real law. Because if them crucify cartel, this is a proof that Jamaica got the worst law system in history. Right, am I right, people?
Right! This is why cartel around here now, because him getting a fight. The system are fighting, the DPP are fighting, so it hard, but Buckingham trying best. Because him under Veronica Arms, she's a senior and him is a junior. We not carry losing team. Cartel we got a free.
And from the Emperor there.
And from the Emperor there, him offer free.